Hey, what's decent? Yo, I got a crazy set of matches I want to showcase you guys. This is the Apex Losers Bracket. So I made losers, and I got to get my way out of here. The first opponent happens to be Kevin, xrazeovation, son. So you already know that I'm super intimidated right now. So he's going to lead out with his Ments as well as his Greninja. He's going to switch right out into Talonflame. So I'm thinking like, oh, did I just mess up turn one by going for the Mach Punch instead of just going for the Spore like I kind of wanted to, but I wasn't exactly sure if that was the right play. And he Mega Evolves and he goes into Ments as he goes for the Protect. I just switch out into my Sylveon, and that's not really a great play right now because what happens is that he could actually double target me. As a matter of fact, he doesn't even have to do that. He could go straight for the double edge and knock out the Sylveon, and I don't have to say switching, so that is a clean KO. Gone, son. Oh my gosh. And I'm like, okay, I gotta switch back in my Hydreigon. I do happen to have the Focus Sash on my balloon, so I don't have to worry about the Talonflame inflicting, well, killing it this turn. So he's gonna go for the Brave Bird on the Hydreigon as I go for the Draco Meteor intended for the Ment. I'm just gonna go for the Spore, just assuming that he might predict me to have the Rock Tomb because I've seen other balloons have Rock Tomb on their sets. So he's gonna go out into the Rotom, and I'm just gonna go for a secondary Draco Meteor. I don't think I lose anything from going for a Draco Meteor, knowing that he's gonna want to switch out for a little bit later on. So I hit the Rotom, and that's gonna do a significant amount of damage. Rotom does happen to have the Citrus Berry, so I don't want to keep Hydreigon in play, and I want to kill the Talonflame so that nothing will be faster than my Hydreigon in the future. So I'm able to finish off Talonflame with the Rock Tomb, and then afterwards I could just switch out and then come right back in because I don't think a Draco Meteor coming from a Hydreigon at that particular amount of HP will be enough to finish off a Mega Ments. Even though Mega Ments doesn't get any additional special defensive boosts when it does Mega Evolve, it's still the same. So he's gonna go for the Double Edge intended for the Breloom. I Protect as I switch out into my boy Zapdos. So now he's gonna go for the Protect, and when I saw that I was like, yes! I put the Rotom to sleep and I'm able to set up the Tailwind. That is clutch. Ladies and gentlemen, what that means now is that my defensive Zapdos is going to be able to outspeed the Ments. I'm just going to go straight for the Hidden Power Ice, but I'm thinking that he's going to want to predict that and go for the Greninja. So Greninja is going to come into play, and I'm just going to try to chip down on that Rotom because Rotom happens to be a still of a big deal here. Rotom woke up first turn, misses the Will-O-Wisp. So I'm just gonna go ahead and go for the Spore on the Greninja in case he wants to like shift around a little bit, and I'm just gonna switch up my target to go for the Rotom Wash as opposed to the Greninja because Greninja is actually the bigger threat. So I'm just gonna put that to sleep, and then afterwards I could just go for a Mach Punch on the Greninja as well as a Hidden Power Ice on the Salamence. So I'm just gonna go ahead and do that. Mach Punch doesn't KO actually. I'm just gonna go for the Hidden Power. So imagine if you went for the Protect that turn and it wakes up. It wakes up at that. And he goes for the Ice Beam on the Breloom, but I do happen to have the Focus Sash, so Breloom is not going to go down. But imagine if he just went for the Protect and then afterwards just like woke up that turn and targeted the Zapdos. That would have been crazy. I would have been so upset. So that's my first match in Losers. So my second match is against this guy named Dominic. I have to play it right away. No breaks. So this is Losers, I believe, quarters. So now he's going to lead out with Heatran as well as the Scizor. I'm just going to lead out my Jellicent as well as my Breloom. Switches out into Cresselia. I'm just going to go for the Protect on the Breloom because I think that he might want to go for the spread damage on the Heatran, but he goes for Protect himself, and I'm just going to go for the Will-O-Wisp on the center Pokemon, which was before the Scizor, but now is the Cresselia, which isn't all that bad because Cresselia happens to have the Citrus Berry, and it will just consistently eat up on the Cresselia, barring the fact that it might have the Heal Bell or the was it the Lunar Dance or something like that, but I don't see Cresselia carrying those in VGC standard. So now he's going to predict me to opt to switch out on my Breloom side, hence why he targeted the Jellicent as opposed to targeting the Breloom, which is great. And now I'm just going to want to switch out to save my Breloom for a little bit later on, so I'm just going to do just that and go out into my Zapdos, assuming that he's going to want to go for the Thunder Wave on that particular target. And Kangaskhan is asleep. I still want to do something about Kangaskhan. He's going to go for the Psychic, and it's not going to do a lot to the Zapdos, but I got to be careful because my Zapdos doesn't happen to have the Roost. So I'm going to go for the Taunt, assuming that he's going to want to go for the Trick Room, or maybe I don't know, a Calm Mind or a T-Wave, you know, just really slow down Cresselia's, you know, helping. Oh, helping hand was another thing that I thought about too. So Kangaskhan's asleep, and I figured now I could just go for the Heat Wave, which is great. Kangaskhan Mega Evolves, wakes up, goes for the return, targets the Zapdos, and kills it. I was so gonna go for the Heat Wave, predicting the Scissor to come back into play, but that is unfortunate. But in retrospect, I am able to actually get a burn on the Kangaskhan, so that's not all too bad. I'm able to go for the Breloom, and on the Breloom, I'm just going to go for the Protect, because I might think that he's going to go for the Protect on the Scissor, which he ends up doing anyway. And as he goes for the second punch, he is burned, and I do happen to have the Cobra Berry, so I'm just going to go ahead and go for the Scald on the Mega Kangaskhan. It was also a great play that what he did a little bit earlier on by not Mega Evolving, because that puts me under the suspicion that his Kangaskhan happened to have the early bird. So that means that he would wake up a little bit earlier on. So I have to put credit where it is due, and that is an amazing play by him. So now Scissor is not in a position where you could go for a secondary Protect. I mean, you do have a 50% probability of having a secondary Protect, but in that case scenario, he doesn't go for it, and I'm just able to go for the Spore and put it to sleep. So I'm just going to go for the Skull right now and target the Scissor, because Scissor is one of the bigger threats that I have to deal with right now. I don't happen to have the Zapdos in order to deal with the Scissor right now, so I'm just going to have to double target the Scissor and knock it out. So he's going to go for the Psychic, assuming that I'm going to want to save my Breloom for a little bit later on, but he targets the Jellicent, and Jellicent happens to disable the Psychic, and after he's taking a secondary Skull, critical hit mind you, is able to knock out the Scissor. And it looks like the Cresselia doesn't happen to have the Citrus Berry, so that's actually a good thing right now. So I'm just going to go for the Protect and then target the Heatran, I suppose, but I think Heatran's going to go for the Protect right now. So Cresselia goes for the Ice Beam, and I just go for the Protect, and nothing happens that turn except for Cresselia taking residual damage. So he's going to go for the Helping Hand, and I'm just going to risk it by going for the Spore, hoping that I am faster. I happen to be faster, so I'm able to put the Heatran to sleep, because I know that a Mach Punch coming from Breloom won't be able to finish off the Heatran at that particular amount of HP. So I'm just going to go for the Scald after I put the Heatran to sleep. So Scald on Cresselia, as well as the burn that was equipped onto it from earlier on, will be able to knock it out. And Heatran is now looking at Pokemon that can inflict super effective damage onto it. He gets a one-turn wake up, unfortunately for me, and is able to wake up and go for the Heat Wave, which Heat Wave in retrospect gets disabled now because of Jellicent's Curse Body. I'm able to go for the Recover just in case of any nonsense happening. And then my Hydreigon, actually forgot about, happens to have the Earth Power. So at that HP, it is not going to withstand it, and that is a dead Heatran. So I'm able to take game 2 and move on to losers semis, I believe. Yeah, losers semis. So this is losers semis right now. And my opponent's like, yo, you beat xrazeovation? Yo, I'm scared. I'm like, yo, I'm shaking in my boots right now. Look at your squad, son. Yo, you got the Lopunny and the Talonflame. Lopunny has the Ice Punch and Talonflame. Yo, I'm so cooked, bro. You have no idea. I'm just going to go for the Protect on the Breloom, and then try to get up a Tailwind, as I might try to go for the Spore on the Lopunny the next turn. But he predicts out nicely and goes for the Fake Out, flinching my Zapdos as my Breloom protects. Now, on that particular turn, I wasn't exactly sure of whether I should just go for the Rock Tomb on that turn, because I figured that he might predict me to have the Focus Sash and double target it. But then also that leaves him open for Zapdos, so I should have actually taken light of that and then go for the Rock Tomb on the first turn, and afterwards on the secondary turn go for the Spore on the Lopunny. But I decided to go for the Tailwind, and now I mess up actually making a super obvious play. I should have actually just went for the Rock Tomb on that turn and then just switched into Mega Metagross, because Talonflame can't outspeed Mega Metagross. I mean, the only thing it can really do to it is a Brave Bird. And then afterwards, I'm just going to have to probably deal with the fact that Lopunny is still asleep. Lopunny is still a thing. So I'm just going to go ahead and Mega Evolve, and I'm just going to opt to go for a Rock Tomb on the Talonflame, which is something I should have done a little bit earlier on. So now the Breloom dies as he wakes up and goes for the Quick Attack, and Talonflame goes for the Brave Bird, which I guess was intended for the Breloom, but what I thought that he was going to do is maybe probably switch up and go for the Will-O-Wisp and or the Flare Blitz, trying to knock out the Mega Metagross. So I'm just going to go for the Dark Pulse, and I figured now he's going to decide to do that, and Talonflame is gone, and afterwards I'm just going to connect with my Zen Headbutt, which initially did not connect with the Lopunny before, and Lopunny dies down. So we're both down to 2 Pokemon, but unfortunately for me, my Tailwind petered out, and now he's going to have Sylveon and Aegislash. So I was like, yes, I freaking win. So now I go for the Dark Pulse, and I should have just actually went for the Protect on that turn with Mega Metagross just to scout to see if he happened to have Protect on his Sylveon. That misplay was actually inspired by a lot of people not having Protect on Sylveon and running the Choice Specs variant, including my current opponent. So that's actually great that I'm able to connect with the Meteor Mash and knock out the Sylveon as he retaliates with the Shadow Ball on the Mega Metagross, and it is not in any position to survive a secondary Dark Pulse coming from Hydreigon. So even if he goes for the King Shield, it is to no avail. You're just wasting the turn, buddy, and that is a close, good game because of my mistakes. Oh my gosh, my heart is beating. So let's move on to losers finals. Oh, what? Alright, so he's gonna lead up with Breloom and Mega Kangaskhan. Jesus, this is what I have to deal with. So, alright, so Jellicent's gonna come right back because I figured that he's gonna want to go ahead and target that since Kangaskhan can't exactly touch it unless it stays in its normal form, assuming that he has a Scrappy. But he Mega Evolves that turn, and I think he's just gonna go for the Spore and target my Zapdos. But unfortunately for him, he does not know that I pack the safety goggles, baby. So I'm just going to go for the Protect, and just in case he happened to go for the Spore on the Mega Metagross, I decided to go for the Protect, and that means that nothing on my party is going to go for the sleep. So now he goes for the Power Up Punch as I think go for the Tailwind in that particular turn, but I am going to predict him to go for the Spore on the side that Mega Metagross was on, and decided to go for the Tailwind now, which is great because that also means that I can set up a nice little Heat Wave. He's just going to go for the Sucker Punch, and because of my bulk, it is not going to be able to knock it out, and Breloom goes to the Mount Punch to try to beat my Focus Sash. I am going to put the Mega Kangaskhan to sleep and then go for the Heat Wave, but unfortunately for me, it misses Breloom, and that was huge! I was so upset at that because I was supposed to 2-hit KO the Breloom right now. But unfortunately for me, that is not going to happen. We're going to go for the Thunderbolt, and then afterwards, he's going to target my Zapdos and go for the Bullet Seed. And then that is a dead Zapdos, as whereas Breloom should have even been dead in the first place. So now, just in case that the Mega Kangaskhan decides to wake up on that particular turn, I'm going to go for the Mach Punch on the Mega Kangaskhan, knocking it out, and he's going to retaliate back with a Mach Punch of his own, knocking my Breloom out, and I'm going to retaliate back with a Zen Headbutt, knocking his Breloom out. So that is Pokemon dying left, right, and center, and his last two Pokemon happen to be the Heatran as well as Clefable. So it looks like if I play this carefully, I might walk away with a little win. So what I should have done to make this insanely easier on myself was just go for the Protect on the Mega Metagross as well as go for the Taunt on the Clefable, so that Taunt doesn't misconstrue my Jellicent's attacks on the Heatran. So now he goes for the Protect, and then I'm just going to go for the Meteor Mash after it disables the Heat Wave, and then he's just going to target it with the Earth Power, and I haven't seen Earth Power on a Heatran in a long period of time. I played a lot of VGC, but I just guess I've finished off Heatrans here and there. I do happen to have, I think I have Earthquake, do I? No, I have Ice Punch on this thing, and it's not going to be able to do anything onto the Heatran. But this particular turn, we were both sweating because this is the play that decides the match. He decides to go for the Follow Me and then goes for the substitute on the Heatran. I go for the Meteor Mash, knocking out his Clefable, and he is going to set up a useless substitute as I am going to be able to go for the Scald and break it, which also means that next turn I could just go for the Zen Headbutt and knock his Heatran clean cut out of the game, provided that the Mega Metagross connects with the Zen Headbutt. So that is a crazy match. Why did I make that insanely harder on myself? And with that, I made it to top 16 at Apex VGC 2015. So if you guys enjoyed that video, please drop a like. If you guys want to see more content like this in the future, please subscribe to me. It's awesome. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Peace. What you doing?